I thought the worst thing that could happen at work was getting fired. I was wrong. The worst thing was when my CEO smiled at me one quiet Friday afternoon and said she had arranged a blind date for me. I laughed at first, thinking it was a joke, but she didn't laugh back. Her eyes held something unreadable, something that made my stomach tighten. 3 days later, I walked into a candlelit restaurant and came face to face with the one person I never expected to see, her daughter. Before I tell you how that night unraveled my carefully built life, take a second to like this video. Comment where you're watching from. Share it with someone who believes in kindness and second chances. And subscribe to the channel if you believe that sometimes the most unexpected twists are the ones that save us. Your support means more than you know. I had worked at the company for 5 years, climbing from a junior analyst to senior project manager under the sharp, watchful eye of our CEO, Evelyn Carter. She was the kind of leader people feared and admired in equal measure. Brilliant, composed, and almost intimidatingly calm, she built the company from nothing after her husband passed away. Everyone knew her story. Widowed young, left with a small daughter and a mountain of debt, she turned grief into ambition and ambition into an empire. Working under her felt like being tested every day. And I loved it. But while my career flourished, my personal life collapsed quietly behind the scenes. A broken engagement 2 years earlier had left me guarded and cynical. I buried myself in deadlines and quarterly reports, convincing myself that success was enough. My coworkers joked that I was married to the job. I pretended it didn't bother me. Deep down, though, loneliness had started to echo louder than any boardroom applause. That Friday, after a long meeting about an upcoming merger, Evelyn asked me to stay back. The others filed out, leaving the office unusually silent. She leaned against her desk, studying me with the same analytical gaze she used during negotiations. Then she said she had someone she wanted me to meet. Not for business, for dinner. I thought she meant a potential client. When she clarified that it was a blind date, I almost choked. It felt surreal. My CEO arranging my love life? I politely declined at first, but she insisted in a calm, firm tone that left little room for refusal. She said I worked too hard and deserved something more than spreadsheets and stress. There was something personal in her voice, something that made me feel like this wasn't just casual matchmaking. Eventually, out of respect and maybe curiosity, I agreed. All weekend, I wondered why she cared. Was this some strange loyalty test? Did she want to see if I could balance work and life? Or was she simply trying to play Cupid? The uncertainty gnawed at me. Monday evening arrived faster than I expected. I stood outside a small, elegant restaurant downtown, my reflection staring back at me in the glass door. I hadn't been on a real date in years. My palms were damp, my mind restless. I reminded myself it was just dinner. When I stepped inside and gave my name to the hostess, she led me to a quiet corner table, and that's when I saw her. She stood as I approached, her expression mirroring my shock. She had the same poised posture, the same intense eyes as her mother, but softer, warmer somehow. I recognized her from company events, from framed photos in Evelyn's office. This was Lily Carter. In that instant, everything felt wrong. My CEO hadn't just set me up with anyone. She had set me up with her daughter. 1,000 thoughts collided in my mind. Was this a trap? A test of professionalism? If this went badly, would it cost me my job? And if it went well, what then? The first few minutes were painfully awkward. We both acknowledged the obvious connection and the absurdity of the situation. But as the evening unfolded, something unexpected happened. The tension softened. Lily wasn't there because her mother forced her. She admitted she'd been equally surprised. Evelyn had simply said she knew someone kind and dependable, someone who understood responsibility and loyalty. We talked about everything except the company at first. Lily wasn't involved in the business. She worked as a children's therapist, dedicating her life to helping kids navigate trauma and anxiety. Listening to her speak about her work, I felt something stir in me, admiration, maybe even hope. She wasn't impressed by my job title. She was curious about who I was outside of it, and I realized I hadn't asked myself that question in years. By dessert, the awkwardness had faded into something warm and easy. She laughed at my nervous jokes. I found myself opening up about my failed engagement, about how I'd thrown myself into work to avoid feeling lost. She listened without judgment. It felt real, but reality waited outside that restaurant. The next morning, stepping into the office felt different. Every glance from a colleague felt loaded, even though no one knew. When Evelyn called me into her office later that day, my pulse pounded. She asked how the dinner went. Her tone was neutral, but her eyes searched mine carefully. I chose honesty. I told her it had been unexpected but pleasant. I admitted I liked her daughter. For the first time since I'd known her, Evelyn's composure cracked slightly. She sighed and looked out the window before telling me why she arranged it. She said she trusted my character. She'd watched me grow in the company, seen how I handled pressure and setbacks. She wanted her daughter to meet someone steady, someone who valued commitment. It wasn't a test, it was a mother's instinct. That confession shifted something in me. This wasn't corporate manipulation, it was vulnerability. Still, complications followed. Word eventually spread, as secrets always do. Whispers echoed in hallways. Some colleagues hinted that I was gaining favoritism. Others implied I had ulterior motives. The pressure mounted. I began second-guessing every achievement, wondering if people thought I hadn't earned it. Lily felt it too. Strangers online accused her of dating for influence. She called me one night, her voice heavy with doubt, questioning whether we were naive to think this could work. The weight of perception pressed hard against us. For weeks, I considered ending it. Not because I didn't care about her, but because I did. I didn't want her reputation or mind damaged by something that started as a simple dinner. But one evening, sitting across from her in a quiet park, watching children run across the grass as the sun dipped low, I realized something. All my life, I had chosen the safe route, the predictable promotion, the emotionally guarded path. And it had left me successful, but alone. Lily squeezed my hand and told me she didn't want a life dictated by fear. She had grown up watching her mother rebuild from ashes. She believed in taking risks for things that mattered. So we decided to face it openly. We didn't hide. We set boundaries at work. I recused myself from projects directly overseen by Evelyn. I requested performance reviews from other board members to eliminate bias. It wasn't easy, but it was honest. Months passed. The gossip faded as results spoke louder than rumors. I continued delivering strong outcomes. Lily continued healing children. And slowly what started as an awkward blind date grew into something solid. The real turning point came during the annual company gala. Standing under soft lights, surrounded by investors and employees, Evelyn gave a speech about resilience and growth. Then she surprised everyone by acknowledging the importance of integrity not just in business, but in personal choices. She didn't mention names, but her words carried weight. She spoke about trusting people for who they are, not what others assume. Later that night, she pulled me aside. She admitted she had been nervous about mixing family and business. She had worried about losing both if things went wrong. But she told me she saw how I treated Lily with respect, patience, and honesty. That was all she ever wanted for her daughter. In that moment, I understood something profound. The blind date wasn't a trap. It was trust. A year after that first dinner, I proposed to Lily in the same restaurant where we met. Not because it was dramatic, but because it reminded us how unexpected beginnings can become beautiful realities. When she said yes, I felt a sense of completeness I had never experienced, not from promotions, not from bonuses, but from connection. If this story is touching your heart so far, take a moment to like the video and share it with someone who needs to believe that life can surprise them in the best ways. And here's a special request: comment the word unexpected below if you believe that some of life's greatest blessings come disguised as complications. Looking back, I realized the biggest challenge wasn't gossip or corporate politics. It was fear. Fear of vulnerability. Fear of judgment. Fear of risking stability for something uncertain. But L'Oreal Love Docent arrive wrapped in convenience. It arrives in complicated packages. It asks you to trust, to endure whispers, to prove your intentions not with grand speeches but consistent actions. Today, I still work at the company. Evelyn is still my CEO, but she's also family. And every time I walk past her office, I remember that quiet Friday afternoon when she changed my life with one unexpected suggestion. Sometimes the door that scares you the most is the one that leads you home. If this story moved you, if it reminded you that kindness, courage, and second chances can rewrite destinies, please engage with the video, like it, share it, and tell us your thoughts in the comments. Your support helps these stories reach hearts that might need them most. Because sometimes, all it takes is one blind date to open your eyes to everything you were missing.